When will we get our old life back? When will the pandemic end? In this video, I'll try to answer these questions with some messages I received from my spirit guides. Stay with me. Welcome back to Choosing Gratitude. I'm Karen from ChoosingGratitude.net, and on this channel we talk about everything related to manifesting your dream life. If you're new here, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell. When I read the comments under my YouTube videos, I often see comments like, "Oh, I'm so sick and tired of this pandemic. When will this end?" And I can totally relate to these feelings. I think we all, in a way, feel that we're sick and tired of this, right? It's been going on for a year, and it still doesn't look like it's ending soon. The other day, I found a little video clip that I filmed with my phone from a trip in 2018. The video was shot in a resort in Mexico when my husband and I and my son, we went there and we were having a great time. There's a pool and a lot of people were by the pool dancing and just having fun. And people, were very close to each other, and some people were hugging. And it just brings back such beautiful memories of a time when we used to just be able to talk to each other, relate to each other, do whatever we want, right? And we've always had that lifestyle, and we just took it for granted, right? Now, all of a sudden, all of that was taken away. Thankfully, where I live, most businesses are open and we can still go out as usual, but everywhere you go, you have to wear a mask, and there's always a little bit of fear in the back of your mind that somebody you encounter might have the virus, right? And there's just this unspoken fear floating in the air everywhere. And in this video, I want to kind of address that. And I've been asking my guides why we're going through this and when is this going to end. And my guides are telling me that you first need to understand the three purposes of this pandemic. Yes, the pandemic has some purposes. So here's what I received. The first purpose of this pandemic, according to my guides, is a way of collective karmic maturing. Actually, karma is nothing mysterious. It's simply action and reaction, cause and effect. What you do will create a ripple effect. Maybe the effect will not be shown immediately, but at some point, the effect of your action, your thoughts, and your words, they're gonna come back to you, okay? So imagine humanity as a whole, the human race on this earth. Collectively, we have our way of thinking, we have our ways of words, and we have our actions, and all of these are creating karma. My guides are telling me that usually once in a while there is a peak of maturing of these karmic debts. Just like the debts you own, there would be a time where 3 or 4 of your debts suddenly all mature, you have to pay back. It's the same thing. So don't take this lightly. My guides are telling me that if you take this lightly, if you take this as something just happening in your physical world, you will be afraid, and also you could cave into that fear, and that fear is like a vortex of negative energy. It could suck you into it, okay? So my guides are telling me that you need to see this pandemic as the way it is. What is it? It's just a world event that is showing us that our collective karma is maturing. We need to pay back some of the debt that we owe. By karmic debt, I mean every time we have taken energy from others, okay? That's why in almost every religious belief, stealing is a very bad thing, because stealing is taking something away from others that doesn't belong to you, right? And in the energy realm, actually, we're constantly doing these things if we're not aware of it. Every time when we say something cruel to others, or we say something cruel to ourselves, we're stealing energy. Yes, you can steal energy from yourself, okay? Because, your true self is a child of God. You are divine. You're a divine being. And every time you bash that true self, guess what? There is a karmic seed that pops out. So think about it. Throughout our past, collectively we're accumulating these karmas and they're all maturing at the same time. That's why we're seeing what is happening right now. That brings us to the second reason, the second purpose of this pandemic. It's simply finding our alignment. Are you aligned to love, to the universal love, to the universal joy, the universal gratitude? Are you aligned with God? If not, you're going to be aligned with the opposite of it, which is darkness, which is fear, which is disease. You see, this is a time that the universe is testing us, asking us to look within and find our alignment. So if you have not done any meditation since the beginning of the pandemic, or if you feel really scared, if you feel frustrated, you feel fed up, simply start meditating, start praying, start developing that relationship you have with your God, whatever religious belief you come from, or if you don't believe in anything, simply establish that connection between you and the universe or the ultimate good. Believe in the good of humanity. Believe in the ultimate good of all of us. And that is the only way we can come out of it. When most of us are still moaning, complaining, and worrying, frustrated, this is not gonna end. This pandemic will end at a time when, the fearful energies are mostly depleted and most of us are ready to return to God, return to the universal love, universal gratitude, universal joy. When the energy shifts, that's when the pandemic ends. Some of you may be asking, well, should I take the vaccine? Should I not? Or is the vaccine gonna work? In a way, it's irrelevant. First you have to shift your energy from the place of fear to a place of love, to a place of divine connection. And once that shifts, you're going to see an event in the physical plane that shows that something is happening. Maybe the vaccines start to be distributed. Maybe they are finding new treatment. Or maybe it's something else. I don't know, but the most important thing is this personal shift, and you can do that right now. If you do that now, that energy you create will also ripple out and invite more people to make that shift. The third purpose of the pandemic is that the universe is leading us to a new golden age. And what we're experiencing today is just the preparation phase. I know that it may sound to be a little overly optimistic, right? I know that a lot of people are telling you that we're heading into a zombie apocalypse or we're going to have some major disasters. The world is going to end. I don't really agree with that, because if you look at history, and that's also what my guides are telling me to look into history. So if you look at history, when was the last global pandemic? 1918 to 1919, the Spanish flu. And that was a horrible global pandemic. We lost hundreds of millions of people during that terrible global pandemic. And after we came out of it, guess what? We had a roaring 20s, right? So we had an era of increased prosperity. Actually, my guides are telling me that we are kind of going through the same historical phase. Usually after these dark moments in history, it's like just by nature, we're going into a new spring of humanity. So I am actually expecting to see a great decade of 2020s. I think that we're going to have a new kind of economy, a new kind of way, nations relate to each other, because we're also going into this new era of Pluto in Aquarius. One of my friends who studies the Chinese history, I remember he told me that, if you look at all these Chinese dynasties, at the end of a lot of these dynasties, they would have a plague. And then after the plague, they would have a new dynasty, and suddenly the plague would be gone. We're talking about hundreds of years ago where there was no treatment, there was no vaccine, and people didn't even know to wash their hands, right? So even though this seems to be crazy, even though this pandemic seems to be really bad, understand that this is not the first time humanity is battling a pandemic. I don't know how many times we have battled the same thing. No matter how advanced our technology is, the universe is telling us that we are still subject to the same rhythm of the universe, which means we need this period of time to reconnect to the divine. We have been throughout the past few decades overly focused on our external world, our external pleasure, growth of technology, mindless entertainment, and this is simply a time for us to come back to the core of our being, which is our alignment with God. So this is a time my guides are telling me to never look back. Instead of asking when will we get our old life back, you should be asking what kind of life are we expecting in the new era? Because guess what? Our old life is not coming back. Our old life is buried in history. Now, what we need to do is to empty the garage. It's to, let go of the energies, the karmic debt, the karmic debris that we no longer need, and focus on our divine connection and step into our next golden age. If you want to learn more about how these energies influence your personal life, feel free to book a one-on-one reading with me. We can look at your astrology chart according to Western astrology and Chinese astrology to help you develop some strategies. And thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video.